Today, ladies and gentlemen, we bring for you before the People's Mirror what's happening in 4 particular stations that are set to have this particular by-election. Then after that, we'll also bring to you what's happening or what happened yesterday after the State of Nation was made by President Ruto before the members of the National Assembly. So today, we'll bring for you the peace call in Malava, that now all people, all ends of the contestants in Malava are now calling for one thing unanimously: peace. And the officials of the United Opposition are calling upon the youths to defend their votes. Today, we will also bring for you what's happening in Kasipul, where now no more deaths will be seen from that area. Statement of Governor Wanga, and both the contestants, Aroko and Boydwere, have since been fined 1 million Kenyan shillings for the misconduct that was witnessed in that area by the IEBC. Today also we bring for you what's happening in Magarini, where cries of foul play from the government is actually being advanced by the United Opposition members, who are saying that up to the level of the Speaker of the Senate of Kenya is being witnessed using state resources to campaign for a political candidate in Magarini constituency. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we will also bring for you what's happening in Mbeere North, where now Gachagua is harvesting jabber with the locals, as is one-on-one engagement with these locals to vote for karaoke come the D-Day on these by-elections. Today, we will put before the mirror the Ruto State of Nation statement that was made before the National Assembly yesterday, and the reactions that have come from different camps, including the ODM camp, that now feel that Ruto did not spare a minute to respect Raila Amolo Odinga. This is the People's Mirror, and if you're joining us for the first time, please hit the subscribe button. So we'll start with Malava. Now, we have detailed a lot of times here, as recent as our last 2 episodes, we are talking about the statements that were made by Governor Natembeya in Malava, requesting the Luya people to return the respect of the Luya nation back to Luya land. And so in this bid now, we are seeing from that particular area, specifically Malava constituency in Kakamega County, both contestants from the side of the government and from the side of the United Opposition are now calling for one thing: peace. And they are saying, come that D-Day, one thing that needs to be paramount in Malava constituency is peace, because elections will come and go, and after that Malava people will stay united as they have always been. Ndakwa is seen in that particular area again with Farouk Kibet ramming up their support in favor of the UDA party ahead of this particular by-elections, and he's saying that he has been experienced as an MCA. Now he's calling upon the Malava individuals to promote him, a promotion that he says he will know what to do with, and he will hold hands of the MC of that area and bring development to the rest of Malava when given this opportunity. Seth Panyako, the candidate of the United Opposition, seems to be the people's darling in this particular by-election, and so now members of the United Opposition are saying they're not looking for votes anymore. Rather, they are rallying for mobilization, for mass appearance on the D-Day to vote for Seth Panyako. They are, however, calling upon the youth to defend those votes with their lives, because they are saying if the youths do not defend the votes, then voting will itself not be the ultimate end. So Malava by-elections are taking that particular direction, where one call is steady peace, but as peace is being called for, the government ends is still pushing drum for their support, and on this other end, the United Opposition are now calling upon the youth supporters of the United Opposition to take it upon themselves to defend the votes once they have voted. Kasipul had 2 contestants, that is Honorable Boydwere and Honorable Otetea Roko, appearing before the IEBC this week. The main reason why they were appearing before the IEBC was to cleanse them, or rather to have them answer allegations of misconduct which go against the IEBC regulations on carrying out of election campaigns. And as a result of their misconduct, which have since led to the deaths of people around Kasipul area, more calls and more rallies have been seen in that particular area, also calling for peace. Governor Gladys Wanga, who is the chairperson of the ODM party, while campaigning for Boyd in this area, said that there is no youth who will again lose their lives in this particular by-election from Kasipul, and there is no youth who will ever lose their lives because of election from the Homa Bay region. The IBC have since fined Mr. Were and Mr. Aroko 1 million Kenyan shillings each, which they have promptly paid, and now they are set to appear in the ballot on the D-Day, with a warning that if this particular issue of electoral misconduct proceeds between now and the D-Day, being the 27th of this month, then the two have a chance of their name being struck off the ballot ahead of that D-Day. Manibior, who is the 3rd candidate with strong support in this area, is also ramming now on the challenges that both Boydwere and Aroko are facing, and is using this as an opportunity to make his entry into that particular area as the 3rd yet clean candidate that does not have any affiliation to either of the violence that have been witnessed in this area. Interestingly, the ODM UDA are under pact, and sometimes back they were seen together campaigning for Boyd Were. Now, members of the UDA party from the Homa Bay area have since deserted the ODM camp and are joining hand to rally behind Otete Aroko, a move that has have the ODM party disenraged, and I've heard them saying that they will focus on their particular election campaigns and will not rally with any other house. The division between the UDA and ODM in Kasipul might be a rift beginning within this particular broad-based arrangement that have had attacks since it was entered into, and have even had more attacks after the death of Raila Amolo Odinga. So that is what's coming from Kasipul. Everyone is campaigning for these two top competitors. We saw Honorable Esther Passaris and the likes, women of the ODM party, go all the way to Kasipul to campaign for Boyd Were. Yesterday in the campaigns, Boyd Were's mother herself took it to the podium to ask the ODM members to actually vote for Boyd Were. So in less than 7 days time, we are going to know what will be the fate of Kasipul. Will it be Manibi, or will it be Aroko Otete, or will it be the ODM's candidate Boyd Were on the 28th, when the result of this particular area will be determined. Magarini, ladies and gentlemen, cries of foul play from the United Opposition is now key in this particular part of Kilifi County, Magarini constituency, where the locals and the supporters of the candidate of the United Opposition, Honorable Stanley Kenga Karisa, are now blaming the government for foul play. And they're saying government is using so much resources and is even using government officials to campaign for a political candidate in this area, which they feel is wrong. They feel like it's an overreach of state resources to actually have the Senate Speaker and other key government officials use government funds to actually push for a political candidate who ordinarily needs to be funded by the political party under which they vie. They're saying that this move to have government officials slam this area with full support is a foul play against the other candidate, Mr. Kenga Karisa, who does not enjoy that support yet has the desire to represent the people in the National Assembly. Remember, it's Mr. Kenga Karisa who was the rightfully elected person in this particular area in 2022, and in a court battle that have since lasted for over 3 years, the Supreme Court declared him the rightful winner. Now this by-election is being actually held as a result of that, but his competitor who stole his votes in the previous elections is receiving full government support, while himself, who is the people's darling in that area, is left with just his resources to compete against that on the D-Day. So this foul play from Magarini has been pointed out, and now Mr. Kenga Karisa is calling upon the government and the IBC to take a look at what's going on in Magarini and make sure that the electoral campaigns ahead of the 27th are done in a very fair manner that gives room for all Kenyans to compete to represent the interest of the citizens of Magarini in the national seat. Ladies and gentlemen, Mbeere North. In Mbeere North, a lot of interesting things have been happening. It has been the subject of our discussion in our main channel, the Civic Lens KE, and it's also been a subject of our discussion here at the People's Mirror. One thing steady, two camps are meeting and are setting there for now 10 days, or in a 10-day period they'll be setting their camps. They are now the 5th day, being the camp of the Deputy President Kindiki Kithure and the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, attacking each other word after word, day after day, ahead of the election of the 27th. Now this region is very important to both camps, we have detailed before, because this region is a determinant on whether or not Rigathi Gachagua has a full grip of the mountain area, and also this region is a determinant on whether or not UDA party is fully dead and awaiting burial, as Rigathi Gachagua has termed it in that area. Now we are seeing from this area Rigathi harvesting the cash crop from the region being cut, Mira alias Jaba, with the locals, and is using this as a way of, getting together with the locals ahead of the 27th day, asking them to rally their support for none other than Newton Kariuki, who is going under the Democratic Party, which belongs to Justin Muturi's leadership. Now, Democratic Party is within the United Opposition, and Justin Muturi also shares a cordial friendship with Rigathi Gachagua. As a result, Rigathi Gachagua has made it his mission to ensure that the mountain votes for the Democratic Party against the UDA party, and is doing that day in, day out on a door-to-door mission with the people of Mbeere North. While the other camp that is also set, the UDA camp, has been blamed to use a lot of resources in this area, up to around 400 and 500 million shillings. This, which the Rigathi camp has now termed as an hotel, has been where the locals go to receive money and they come back to their homes and meet the supporters, or rather the camp of Rigathi Gachagua in the confines of their homes to have conversations on who they are going to vote. The other camp that is supported by or is being led by Kindiki Kithure now promises to deliver this win to the UDA party, saying that this area is their area, and they are faulting Rigathi Gachagua for fronting himself, or rather presenting himself as the king of the mountain area, saying that even the decision to have Rigathi Gachagua as a vice president was a joint Mount Kenya decision, and it was as a result of the meeting that had in attendance Honorable Kindiki Kithure. It was not in unanimity that Rigathi became the kingpin of this area. So now Kindiki is attacking Rigathi's statements by saying that he took part in creating Rigathi's legacy, while Rigathi is also attacking Kindiki, saying that nobody actually elected Kindiki, and so as a result he is a Bandia vice president in that region. Now, away from that, ladies and gentlemen, we take a look at Ruto's State of Nation yesterday. Yesterday, the president took it upon himself to address the nation through the National Assembly on the State of the Nation. And this particular State of the Nation address you can find in public government websites. You can also find it in public government publications like the TV and parliamentary broadcasting unit and such like places. Also, you can find it from the previous media houses. It was a lengthy presentation. But here at the People's Mirror, we just want to put before the mirror statements that have arisen as a result of this particular address, and statements that are worth your consumption. Now, first, the ODM's reaction to this. The deputy party leader of the ODM party, Honorable Osotsi, also did an interview shortly after the address was made in the National Assembly, and in his interview you could see the dissatisfaction that exists within the ODM camp from this particular State of Nation address. Even before we go into further details of the statements that were said by Mr. Osotsi, take a look at this. If Ruto did not take in consideration the broad-based government in his speech in addressing the State of Nation, then in its implementation, or rather its implementation might be a far-fetched idea, because then this is the government that they currently are in. It's a broad-based one formed by the UDA and ODM arrangement. By then failing to recognize its existence in the State of Nation address shows you very clearly that the fear that has existed in the camp that Ruto might fail to actually meet the 10-point agenda might be a thing. Another thing is that failing to address its existence might also be a confirmation on what Cheregai has been saying, that Ruto perhaps is looking beyond the broad-based government come 2027 and is having a counter plan that might not give the deputy presidency position or the presidency position to the ODM party as they had previously envisioned. Now, let's go back to the statements that were made by the deputy party leader of the ODM party, Honorable Osotsi, regarding this. First, Mr. Osotsi attacks the reaction of the president to fail to honor the name of Raila Odinga in his address. And in this match, he says that this was the first statement that the president was making to address the entire nation independent of the burial day, just 2 weeks post the interring of Raila Odinga. And so as a result, Mr. Osotsi, who is the deputy party leader of the ODM party, expected that at least 1 minute of silence ought to have been given to Raila Odinga to show respect to this particular arrangement that they are in right now. And failure to do that by President Ruto actually angered Mr. Osotsi and a few of the ODM camps, saying that Raila has died, and hardly 2 weeks later the president is in a hurry to do away with this legacy and with this arrangement in this particular broad-based nature, and the president and the government is already moving on as if Raila didn't exist. Of course, people have taken that particular reaction differently, with other camps feeling that now we have since buried Raila Odinga and it's only duly good that we let his soul rest in peace while we move on with the things that we can fix. However, from the ODM camp, failure to recognize or even pay respect to Raila Odinga in a minute is something that now they are discussing. They also expected a speech on broad-based government. Mr. Osotsi said so, and they expected this particular speech around the broad-based government because they are currently in the broad-based government. And so he says failure to actually have a speech on the broad-based government does away with the aspect of the existence of the broad-based government, and in essence gives the government an opportunity now to hide or fail to implement the agreements that they have since agreed under the 10-point agenda. He is worried, and most ODM members are also worried whether or not this 10-point agenda will be met. And now the question is, as ODM are contesting whether or not they'll be in government in 2027 or they'll form it, the major question is, are they in government right now? And if so, what shows? Because now on the implementation of their 10-point agenda, nothing has been said. Beyond that, other than that, any recognition that shows that they are in power, other than the few slots that they were given given in power does not actually mean that they are in government. So the ODM house is actually calling upon themselves to put their house in order as a result of these statements that were made by Ruto yesterday that failed to put in consideration the current arrangement that they have with the UDA as part of government. Now, Mr. Osotsi also blamed President Ruto's statements to be futuristic. He said that when he listened to the State of Nation, and you can do this for yourself from the publications that I have suggested or from the national televisions, the statements that were made yesterday by Ruto, Mr. Osotsi feel like the entire statement was futuristic in the sense that President Ruto was not addressing anything that they have done right now that is substantive, but was spending time to address on everything that he intends to do. On this one, Mr. Osotsi also believes that there is no sufficient time to address all the things that he has set for himself in the future to address, because 2027 is knocking on, and if you listen to what President wants to actually implement, it might be things that would require him to stay into power around 2028 and 2029 and thereabout. So does Ruto already have a plan of staying in power post 2027, and has he now pushed his manifesto to further years, or does he have an opportunity to submit on everything that he promised the Kenyan people yesterday in the State of Nation within the remaining time between now and 2027? So that's also a concern coming not only from Mr. Osotsi but from the general members of the public who listened to this particular state address, who think that a substance of it was rather so futuristic and was not focused on the present agenda. Of course, the death of the 10-point agenda is as a result of the fact that the broad-based government was not recognized, and so the ODM camp is kind of itchy, thinking that now the 10-point agenda might not really be enforced now that even the broad-based government was not publicly recognized. Now, overnight, Orengo has shifted its focus from we are going back to Mandamano if things are not okay to now visiting the State House. And now the visit of Orengo in State House yesterday is the current talk in town, leaving political tongues to waggle whether or not Orengo has now really formed himself within the united opposition and now pulling support for Ruto in his backyard, or will Orengo stand with the statements that he made alongside Ida, that there is no other person that he knows who has the soul of this country other than Kalonzo Musyoka. This particular political place keeps unfolding, and here the people's mirror, we keep taking a look at them from the constituency level, the county level, to the national level, not only the by-elections but also the statements that have the effect of reshaping the political power shape ahead of 2027. Keep it here at the People's Mirror.